Valenteus won, Hisada won. Each has taken a win in the opening rounds, and the two champions are quickly becoming rivals on track. With the Red Bull Ring having been the scene of contentious moments in real life, are we in store for some fireworks? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 3 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Daniel Costello, assisted by Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It's had many names and various guises, so let's check out the current state of the Red Bull Ring. Welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Located near Spielberg, Austria, this track began life in a much more fast and sweeping format. Having gone through multiple different owners, it eventually was snatched up by Red Bull and has its 3 different layouts you see today. While they range roughly between 1 to 2.5 miles in length, the thing they hold in common are fast straights, hard braking zones, and very few corners. In fact, the longest and most common layout, the Grand Prix course, has only 9 of them. Spots like Remus and Gosser are the most popular corners for overtakes, but both involve dramatic elevation changes. Each have their perils. Remus tends to see drivers make contact when the blind cutback often goes wrong, whereas Gosser tempts you into braking far too late, and the downhill nature shoots cars miserably into the gravel. A few swift bends still scatter the track, with turns like Lauda, Rent, or A1 really testing a driver's accuracy at high speeds. However, most of them don't send you off into the grass. Rather, there is a lot of paved runoff. But they often include some nasty curves most cars will want to avoid hitting, as they've been known to damage suspension and undertrays. A variety of types of racing compete here, with everything from lower Formula open-wheelers to motorcycles, touring cars, and all the way up to Formula One holding events regularly. Set among the gorgeously picturesque Alps, and including great racing on a challenging and history-rich circuit, it's easy to see why fans and drivers are both eager every time they come for a race. The one thing that is much to our surprise, Joey, is that despite the popularity of this track, this is apparently only the 3rd time this series is visited here.
It's pretty impressive that it's relatively new for the series, because you're right, it is extremely popular both in the real world and here on iRacing. First opened back in 1969, located in Spielberg, Austria, 2.68 miles and 10 turns in length. It has a ton of elevation and a lot of passing opportunities here. It is extremely fast. The slipstream is always very, very powerful here. The run at turn number 1 is actually the shortest of kind of the 3 long straightaways here, and turn 1 can be passing opportunity, but it's actually kind of narrow on the exit there, and the exit's the most important because it actually leads you to the longest straightaway, which is also uphill in length. So turn number 3, Going to be a lot of passing down there. Turn number 4, going to be a lot of passing down there. And then through the 6, 7, 8 section, everybody's going to be kind of jostling for position. But remember, these cars don't have any wings on them on the front end or the back end. They don't get disrupted by dirty air. And the 9 and 10, that final corner here, Joe, it is so cool to watch the cars hit that compression. But you have to be careful both on the apex and the exit curve there.
Absolutely. It's one that can catch a lot of drivers out with those tall sausage curbs. Certainly can throw them for a loop. Now, as for the championship, right now up at the top of it, you've got Togo Hisada leading, but it is not by much. A tie for second between Nieva and Claridge, both of them having taken a second and a third. But then Andreas Valenteus, he's only 3 points behind. With him having had that accident in the first race, that puts him just slightly behind, as I think it was a 5th place compared to Togo Hisada, who finished 4th at Suzuka. From there, it spreads out a little bit, but not by much. It is still very tightly compact. Sequeiro, Kaki, Ho, Salgado, all right together. And throw Jason Clapper in there once again, as Robert Plumley rounds out our top 10. But that's just the F1 standings, Joey. Let's go through the F2 drivers.
Yeah, the F2 drivers, they're in the same cars. It's just separated by iRating out there. And currently, at the beginning stages of the season, Roberto Pengarazzi has a 9-point lead over Jonathan Jourdain. But just like in the F1 standings, you see it all sort of tighten up there. Tobias Harnvey only 2 points behind second place there. Ben Summers, a handful of points outside of third. And Alan Graham tied with Jem Matson back there. Thomas Willershausen, Sandy Banerjee, Don Peak, Andres Bruno, all included inside the top 10. And when we talk about points here at Red Bull Ring, there's 2 splits. So a lot of these drivers are still gaining points.
Now, we also have a Nations Cup that we run in this series, and that looks very similar to what we saw with the Drivers' Championship. And as such, look at those top 4, 3 points between all of them. Should be a fun season if this is the way it's going to be throughout Lithuania, obviously with Valenteus kind of representing over there, usually the one kind of carrying that flag. Singapore, you'll often see guys like Gary Ho and Tixier often representing for that country. But we also need to get everybody up to speed on what this race itself will entail. Joey, why don't you walk us through the race details?
Yeah, it's going to be round number 3 out here of 12 this season. 23 laps around the Red Bull Ring. Open setup as always, so you get to tweak and tune on that car. If it's not driving as you like it, open up that garage page and start making those adjustments. Also, everybody in the community loves to get everybody up to speed, so go join those Discords. Go join the forums, and they'll be able to share you the fast stuff as well. No spare cars, so if you pick up any damage, well, guess what? You're going to have to live with it. A drive-through penalty at 17 incident points and a disqualification at 25 incident points. As is every week with both open wheel series, I don't think the incident points are going to come into play here, but with the 3 big passing zones, that's 3 big brake zones, you got to be careful in the mirrors, and you also have to be careful on your own brake markers not to take out your competitors in front potentially.
And remember, they've also got that paved runoff in a number of places. This track has caught out a number of people by racking up too many off tracks throughout. Now, the lap times go by relatively quickly, so we've already got our first laps on the board. And Jorge Nieva currently is our top driver with a 1:27.6. Hisada just behind him, and it looks like Nieva has abandoned his second lap, so he's not going to be able to improve. Will that make him vulnerable? Meanwhile, don't forget, if you want to join in, we've got a holiday sale only going on today and tomorrow, as the end of that sale is very near 50% off new memberships. If you want to get on iRacing and you haven't before, now is absolutely the time. So let's see what it looks like out here on the track as we take a look at qualifying. Nieva still up top for Bruggen, sitting in second. Zamaloa has put himself up into third. Haven't seen him in a minute. Glad to see him return, but Hisada only 4th for him. A bit of a surprise.
I'm actually surprised that Nieva has put down both qualifying laps. Typically, his style is let everybody else go out there and kind of set the benchmark and gives you a relative carrot to go chase out there as we watch the number 1 car. This is Valenteus coming through his final corner here on his first qualifying lap, and with about 2 minutes plus left on the board, he will be able to put down another one, and he immediately puts himself on the front row.
Within a tenth of Nieva on his first lap. Is that going to give him a chance to be able to overtake him on the second one? Nobody's been able to do it quite yet, despite Nieva definitely slowing the second time around. And looks like Seb Tixier, I see him emerging out of pit lane after he's already put 1 lap down. So I suspect that means he's had something happen on that second lap, which means we're going to see him only as high as 11th. What a horrible start to the season it's been for Seb. Either it seems like he can't get qualifying right, or the race just doesn't seem to go his way.
Oh, and then Valenteus right here, you saw it, had a big lockup in that turn 4 brake zone. So I think that's pretty much going to hand pole position over to Jorge Nieva, which is awesome to see. This is Ove Trengrade back here in the number 11 car. He is actually on his second of 2 qualifying laps right now, currently sitting in the top 10. We'll see if he can improve.
Looks like he might even be on the third, because it looks like his first lap was deleted. So I think he's done. He tends to often continue on in his qualifying because you're allowed to take other laps. They just aren't scored. So we'll see if that will help him. And Kurt Clapper coming out. Well, this is too late for him to set a time. So as he usually does, he's just going to start from the back of the field. Himself, Jason, and then Adam Klatska. The only 3 that have not set a time in this one. Essentially, the board is set for a race, and we definitely have a few surprises. I guess the good thing for those that are out of position, Joey, is passing, like you said, is definitely possible here.
3 big passing zones. Well, I would call it 2 big passing zones. Turn 1 is definitely a passing opportunity. But if you get too aggressive on the entry there, it can cost you so much on exit. So I think a lot of the smart, savvy drivers will almost give up a pass in turn number 1 just to kind of set themselves up on that exit, get the power down, and really get the run up the hill towards turn number 3.
So we watch that run down here into 4 as that will wrap up our qualifying. The results are in, and with 29 drivers, top split, by the way. It is a very stacked field, nearly 4,000 average I rating today. And Jorge Nieva has managed to take the pole above everybody. Andres Valenteus is second behind him. Then it's Kevin Verbruggen starting from third. Oye Zamaloa will be fourth. Toka Hisada, only 5th for him today. Mick Claridge, bit of a surprise too, down in 6th for him. Arturas Kundalis, glad to see him return, as he's usually over in IMSA Vintage. He starts 7th, Leo Sucrero 8th, and Nick Kaki will start in 9th. Ove Trangrade rounds out your top 10.
Then comes Seb Tixier back here in 11th. John Olsen starting 12th. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado starting back here in 13th place. Bill Tyler 14th, with Xavier Sanchez back here in 15th. Good to see Sanchez in the series again. Gary Ho 16th. Steve Morris 17th. Miko Michaela in 18th. Juan Rodriguez 19th. And Aku Liski in 20th.
And then David Rossi comes out 21st in qualifying. Robert Plumley next to him in 22nd. Matthew Maudsley, P23, as Santiago Frega will start 24th. Cam Porter starts in the quarter century mark with Julio Torres in 26th. Last one to qualify, Jason Clapper, Kurt Clapper, and Adam Klatska round out 29 cars out here today. Good conditions for racing, 82 Fahrenheit on the track surface, about 66 air temperature as the engines now start to rev. The lights are up here for round 3 of the Grand Prix Legend Series, and the green flag is out. Off the line, Jorge Nieva gets a very good start this time. It's a poor start for Togo Hisada, who starts to get swamped, being passed by 2 cars already. By the time they get to the first corner, he's on the outside of 3 wide, and he manages to keep the car together without clattering into wheels. That's the good part. In fact, everybody is through clean.
Yeah, but the race is on up front. It's Andreas looking down the inside and now outbreaks Jorge Nieva for the lead. Gets the car stopped. Let's see if the number 3 car can now do the over-unders. Everybody streams through turn 3. Check this out. Side by side for the lead down the hill.
Nieva's got the inside, Valenteus to the outside. Andreas wants to get his second championship, clearly the way he's been racing this season. And behind them, look at Kevin Verbruggen. He is watching on with great interest. Can he steal the lead away from both of them? Valenteus switches to the inside as it gets to the infield. Down through route, he is our leader now.
But here comes Nieva. Well, you know, I thought he had a little bit more of a run right there. Maybe it's the opening lap and he's just calming things down. Valenteus a little bit wide there through turn number 7. I think that Nieva is definitely a worthy competitor today. He is all over the gearbox.
Let's see if he can take that win as he is currently defending his championship. And again, maybe he had an opportunity. He's known for not being as aggressive. Now he's got to run with a much better chance coming up into Lauda, but no. Once again, he decides to wait, knowing it is tricky to pass into turn 1. So they'll come off the corner in the same order. Valenteus, Nieva, Verbruggen.
Saw the little bit of a wiggle on the oversteer moment coming out of turn number 1 there. Maybe cost Nieva a little bit of drive that he wanted down the straightaway here, and I saw that too down the front straightaway. I thought that he clearly had the momentum, he clearly had an opportunity, but remember what I said pre-race, I don't think that turn 1 is the best passing opportunity. It was just unfortunate that he made that little mistake on the exit and kind of halted his momentum as Seb Tixier is trying to defend off some cars.
Yeah, look at this back here. He is in the thick of it, just behind Ove Traingrade, ahead of Nikola Kaki. And then ahead of him, Hisada, Kundalis have all been fighting extremely hard. Normally, these are drivers that we would be talking about, fighting at the sharp end of the field, and it kind of is, but this is almost the mid-pack as we're just outside the top 10.
Here's Adam Klatska back here for 26th position. He's all over the back of Cam Porter. We know Cam very well, always racing in our vintage series and providing us these awesome in-car camera shots as well. Oh, catching a little bit of oversteer there coming out of turn 8. Fast hands from Cam Porter.
Yeah, sits in 25th today. Going to be difficult for him to find his way up to the top 10 here unless we get a lot of attrition. Verbruggen with the fastest lap of the race. I wonder if some of that is because of the battling we've seen as we check in with Torres. A little bit of side-by-side briefly. Actually, let's look at Hisada coming down on the outside of Kundalis, who is defending, coming up to Remus. You mentioned that sometimes the outside line can actually work a little bit better here, but he gets some wheel spin and he is slow. Same thing behind him as it looks like Seb Tixier lost a spot to Traingrade.
I think that Seb sent one up the inside there at turn number 3, and Traingrade is a savvy competitor. He knows how to just kind of let him go and then capitalize on that corner exit there. Seb also providing us some awesome camera shots, and I know that he hasn't had the best start to this season. Joe, I think I kind of figured out why. First of all, he doesn't have a doggo on the paint anymore, and I'm not on the paint.
Ah, that's his problem. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Well, again, qualified did not go well, and it's kind of mired him back in this group. He's having trouble getting by them at this stage. Just behind him, Nick Kaki still watching on as they come out of the final corner down to the main straight once again. So important to get the run off of here. Look at this mess. Salgado, Michaela, Rodriguez all fighting for about 16th position. And it looks like Rodriguez does not feel safe as he goes defensive briefly and then back to the racing line.
And that purple car with the purple helmet leading this group is Gary Ho, one of our consistent competitors. Look at all those cars really ride that yellow apex curb. If you go over it, it can definitely cost you a little bit of time as we're side by side, it looks like, for third place. Kevin Verbruggen and Mick Claridge in that red number 4, and Nieva's actually got a run on Valenteus as well.
He still doesn't do anything with it. Mick is going to show himself in the mirrors coming down in the Schlossgold, but no dice as they plunge out of that right-hander into the infield section once again. It switches back now into Rauch, and look at how tight they are. First and second, third and fourth, nose to tail.
And visually, I think that Nieva's been the fastest car today. I know that we're completing lap number 4 here in the next couple corners. Oh my goodness, and just off screen, Mick Claridge had a huge wag of the tail, lost about a half second coming out of turn 8.
How long is this patience going to last, really, for Jorge Nieva? Because he's been waiting for what seems like maybe a real slam dunk opportunity to make the pass. I wonder if he doesn't feel confident. Because again, you saw how close he got to the gearbox of that number 1 car, but he keeps lifting before the brake zone.
I think you could be onto something, but it could also be, what if Nieva is so confident that he knows he can make the pass and he just plain and simple doesn't want to show the card yet? Because if you show what you can do, Valenteus knows where to defend.
That's a good point. And, we heard the drivers mention that slipstream is going to be powerful. Wonder if he feels like it's going to be difficult to get away, and making that pass really won't do him much good because he's just going to be towing them along. Now, there's not really any fuel saving in this series because there's no scheduled pit stops for our drivers, but there's still something to be said about trying to use some strategy here. Meanwhile, checking out this battle between Sequeira, Kundelis, and Hisada. This is for 6th place.
It's a bit odd to see Hisada and Tixier in the same group together, but I think it just goes to show you the strength of the field that has showed up here today. Hisada's finally got a run on Arturus here, but Kundelis puts the car exactly where he needs to and just essentially runs Togo out of racetrack there, so not a passing opportunity. It's just that we're used to seeing a couple of these names up towards the front. We think, oh man, have they lost a little pace? No, it's just all these other drivers have showed up to these 49s in the beginning of the season, and it is a packed house here.
It really is. I mean, just to illustrate that is up the inside, and contact made between Hisada and Kundelis. Looks like Kundelis will get away better with it, but now he's being swamped by Trangrade and Tixier. Tixier takes a 2-for-1. Actually, honestly, make that 3 potentially here if he can get by Ove Trangrade in the process. He's going to have to do it from the inside, get his right foot down, and he almost does, but Ove better on the throttle, coming up the hill now, is almost toe-to-toe as they head towards the braking zone, but he's going to be on the outside down into Schlossgold. He's deeper on the brakes. He's going to try and do it the long way around again. This time, though, it does not work, and Seb indeed gets 3 positions in a single lap.
Race savvy right there. Excellent move from Tixier to see everything unfolding directly in front. Here's a different replay. This is Gary Ho and company in turn number 1. Same corner, different group of cars, and very impressive that everybody was able to avoid and thankfully was able to pull out in a little bit of a gap there before that next group came by.
That's as close as you like, that is for sure, but that's going to be small consolation for Gary Ho, who lost a lot with that one error. Kevin Verbruggen in the meantime. Oh, it has switched from attack to defense for Jorge Nieva. What's going to happen here? He may have been a little bit timid on the attack, but he's got to be aggressive on the defense now.
Oh, really wide up over turn number 1 as well. And I actually got a little piece of information before the show that it's actually Kevin Verbruggen kind of in that baby blue number 8 car that was the fastest this week throughout the practice races, or I shouldn't say practice races, other official races. So I know we haven't talked about Kevin much, but keep an eye on that number 8.
Yeah, and last season kind of was the arrival of Kevin, although we didn't see him later in the season. But you think about the results that he was starting to have. He showed he's got the speed. Is this him really planting his flag and showing he is now a major player? Mick Claridge going to try and deny him that as he comes around the outside into route, but it's hard to make that pass there, and he slots back in behind him.
And even trying to do the over-under right there, probably not going to be a very efficient pass. You'd lose a lot of time with how long these corners are here at the end of Sector 2, Sector 3. And there's Mick once again just kind of dancing with that yaw rate with the car. I had mentioned a couple laps ago, turn number 8, it almost got away from him there. He's just kind of got the car in a balancing act.
This track, at least in its current form, looks very point and shoot with all the sharper turns, but Its old version was much more like that infield section. Long sweepers. It was known as one of the quickest tracks in the Formula One schedule for many, many years until it was changed in the 90s. But as we come down that straightaway towards Remus, look at the first through fourth battle. Still has not gotten away from each other. Big lunge up the inside from Mick Claridge. Can he get it woed up in time? He locks a tire. He manages not to hit Verbruggen, but that looked a little bit scary from inside the cockpit.
Yeah, good thing he scraped that barbecue clean, didn't have any friction holding him back there, was able to get the car stopped, and once again, Nieva just on the gearbox of Valenteus, and actually Andreas slips up a little bit there at apex. Nieva still just in the acceleration phase, pretty much breathing in all of those exhaust fumes directly out the back end of that number one car.
For how long we've held on to that barbecue joke, I wonder at what point does Mick Claridge paint that Lotus 49 like a barbecue?
Put some ribs on it.
Exactly. And they continue to stretch away from Zamaloa at about 2 seconds between themselves and P5. But the slipstream really does seem to keep these four close together. A little bit of a wobble, though, from Nieva coming through Rent that time. Maybe starting to feel some of the effects. Or is Valenteus just much more solid at this stage? We come back to 15th as Rodriguez fends off Michaela along with Jason Clapper. Jason currently up 10 as he likes to climb through the field.
He should be able to get these next couple passes, but if anything, it's Michaela here that is on the back of Rodriguez. Rodriguez is that silver number 23 here. And then Mikko is that white and green number 19. And actually, yeah.
Leads. Sorry, we've got a pass for the lead, and Nieva's got it done. Or
now
no, he almost did. Sorry. He was ahead of him for a brief moment. He finally made an attack. Valenteus back ahead of him. Well, we have a change for third. Not quite. Sorry to jump in there, but I saw a switch up there, and I knew we had to go.
I went back and looked at it, and it was a little bit awkward, too. It seemed like Nieva came from a very far way back as Mick Claridge gets the pass done on the outside of Verbruggen right there for third place. So didn't swap up front for the lead at the end of this lap, but third place will definitely swap hands.
Okay, so Claridge now has the track position. He's ahead of Verbruggen. Is this pace legitimate, or was he just being pulled along by Kevin? Can he go and attack Nieva successfully where Verbruggen could not? And is that also maybe a little bit of a hurry up for Jorge Nieva? A different face behind him? Does he think, okay, I can't just sit around anymore?
100%. And it's Mick, right? We love Mick. He's always one of the best characters, one of the best racers we've got out here, one of the most successful racers in the 49s. But with that being said, if he's on your gearbox, he's going to make a pass.
Kundalis giving us a lot of action on this one with Toku Hisada. Really, these two have been glued at the hip all race long, and they're going to be battling together once again coming up into the brake zone. No, it looks like Hisada pulled out of it late in the braking. Didn't feel confident with it. Oh, back up the lead once again. This time Nieva's gotten down to the inside. He's going to try through Schlossgold. The inside tends to be the place to be, but a successful defense maybe from Valenteus. He keeps his nose in it coming down into the infield section, and that will keep him alive, at least for the time being. But they're now side by side. They're going to lose gobs of time to Mick Claridge if they keep this up.
I don't think that's what Nieva wanted. He definitely wanted to clear Andreas on the exit there, but excellent acceleration phase from that number one car to just really hang on to that rear axle of Nieva, not allow him to chop across the nose in the next section. And actually all four of these drivers ran a little bit wide there in turn number 9. Not going to be their best, most respective lap. And if anything, it's not what Nieva wanted, because look at 5th place back there. Zamayoa only 1.5 seconds back. Leo Sequeira 1.5 seconds back from that. So if these four start battling, 4 will become 6 very fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been hinting at a battle for a while, but now that they've actually gone side by side, both for first and third, you could tell the numbers have come down to that 4th place car. There's a big look again from Mick Claridge. He likes that run up to Remus, although at times it seems to be a little bit of a struggle. Speaking of that corner, here we go. Hisada Kundalis, Trangarade, all tussling as they now accelerate down the mountain straight and towards Schlossgold. Inside for Kundalis in the bright green car, but he has no place to go because that is Trangarade in front of him. He's going to have to be careful, and he slots just into position between the cars.
And this has got to be so frustrating for Togo Hisada, down 5 positions from where he initially qualified this thing as we ride on board with Nikola Kaki. He's just kind of the caboose on this 5-car train right here, just waiting for something to develop. And he's another one of these drivers that has actually slipped down a couple of positions. So, yeah, passing can get done here at the Red Bull Ring, but if you get separated in these draft packs, it can be difficult to close the gaps.
And you think, well, Seb Tixier, usually he's quick. How come he's still down in 7th? How come he hasn't been able to run away? His best lap is a 27.8. Best lap for our leader is a 27.6. So everybody is just that close on pace around here. We sometimes forget, Joey, there's only 9 corners around here. There's few places to make a difference.
And back up front, Nieva's showing the nose in turn number 3. We've seen the number 1 car just be able to put his foot down right here and be able to accelerate away from Nieva. He does the exact same thing. So Slipstream definitely helping out that, call it blue and orange number 3 car. I still think he's the fastest, but he's going to have to go maybe another couple % in these brake zones to finally clear the leader.
That's what I was going to say. Do we need to see a little bit of dirt oval out here? Does the slide job need to come out where he just sends one in?
I think so. Yeah. Did you see that? I think that Kundalis actually got into the back of Trangrade right there in turn number 4 in the brake zone, and here comes Nikola taking advantage in the next corner.
Nearly making contact. They were oh so close through there. Kundalis backs out of it and now finds Togo Hisada on his gearbox once again. That's the other tricky thing in all of this. You can make a move, but if it goes wrong, you are suddenly vulnerable to the cars behind.
Right? And it's not just up front. This second pack is crazy. I think that any other day, this second pack could be the lead pack for the win as we check out his replay here. David Rossi, looks like he got a little bit of help there in turn number 1. Can't tell which car that was, but definitely got some front to rear end contact from what looks to be the number 19.
I was trying to find them out there.
Michaela.
As here we go again. It looks like Mick Claridge's going to go for the move down the inside. He's going for that slide job, but isn't fully clear. And gets on the throttle decently well. Nieva is pulling up alongside him, but he's behind as they come down to the braking of Schlossgold. Mick Claridge is clearing into 2nd place. Now, what can he do with Valenteus?
And trust me, with Mick Claridge up at the front, this is not going to let up at all. If there's an opportunity, Mick takes it. It doesn't matter if it's lap 1, if it's the final lap, if it's turn number 1, turn number 6. If he sees an open door, he is going to race this thing.
Meanwhile, just an update. I went and checked, and for some reason, Hisada has fallen down 2 places. I wonder if there was a bit of a mistake somewhere in there. Mick Claridge versus Nieva, but the roles reverse. Nieva getting too close to the back of the car. Both of them go wide, but Nieva more so. I wish we could see how many incident points these cars have, because they have definitely been pushing the edges of this track.
That's part of the Red Bull Ring, right? Here in iRacing, you have to deal with those incident limits, and if you go out too far on those track out exits, you can pick up those incidents. However, you can be sneaky about them, can't you? You can put the car pretty much all the way out there, and it's just if Barney is like, is that 1 millimeter too far? Some drivers, they're so good at sensing that.
Just being able to tell exactly where to position her car, cut back underneath. Ooh, that was almost very clever from Jorge, but Mick held him off at the apex. Interesting stuff. We haven't seen that move yet, but it just about worked.
Nieva's saying, let's go, dude. I mean, ever since you made the pass, all you're doing is hitting the brakes, right? Let's go catch Valenteus. That's the whole point of you trying to get by right now. And if anything, Valenteus 3/4 of a second up the road. Don't let him break that slipstream.
Yeah, that is a big problem. And we're only on lap 14, so there's still a decent amount to go here. And Kevin Verbruggen is complicating things too. He is right on the back of Jorge Nieva. So Nieva's trying to see if he can sneak through, but he has to play a rear guard simultaneously.
I expect them to stay as is through the final corner and through turn number 1, despite them being literally inches apart from each other there at the apex of turn number 10. It's just not worth the momentum halt if you kind of trip over each other here in turn number 1, and sure enough, single file.
McClaridge still 3/4 of a second behind Andreas Valenteus and continuing to let him stretch away. This is bad news for that battle for the win, especially for Togo Hisada as he watches Valenteus get a win. That will hurt himself significantly in the points battle here. Coming off the corner, McClaridge gets a good enough run that Nieva still has no answer.
I think that's the weak point of Nieva's lap is the top of turn 3. The exit of turn 3 is, I think that Togo Hisada had a few more problems out there on the racetrack. But back to my point about Nieva, he just seems to be able to put the power down efficiently. And the other cars around him are being able to do that.
Yeah, another position lost this lap for Togo Hisada coming into turn 1. I wonder if there's damage on the car.
Yeah. Remember, because that very, very first incident, it was wheel to side contact, and he immediately pulled it driver's right, and that's when we had that big Tixier 3 wide moment. But you can see, I think even on the front left, even on the nose cone, you can see the visual damage.
Yeah, I'm looking at lap times, and he was running 28s, 27s. He's down to 30s and 29s. So, yeah, something is wrong. That he is dealing with an ill handling car. Bit of a shame, and this is going to be a blow for sure. They do have drop weeks in the championship, but I don't think he wants to use it up so early. This is interesting. Zamaloa taking the fastest lap of the race.
Well, you want to know why, Joe, is because he has officially caught the back end of Verbruggen. Here comes Nieva. He says, enough with you, McClaridge. We need to go get a move on. We need to go catch Valenteus, but the pass attempt doesn't work.
It's now up to 1.1 second between them. It's falling apart right in front of their eyes. Down into the braking zone, he's having to defend now as Verbruggen looks to try and make a move the long way around. And what is Zamaloa going to do to this battle? Surely this is going to spice it up even more.
So he got that fast lap because, oh, there goes Verbruggen really wide in turn number 6. He doesn't lose a position, crucially, to Oye, though, and he is officially now the caboose on the train. But back to my point is that he's been chasing down this lead group, and then when he finally got that little bit of a sniff of slipstream, all of a sudden that lap time went through the roof.
All right, as we come around the final few corners once again and to the main straight, starting lap 17 now. They're starting to run out, and it continues to pull away 1.2 seconds up at the top of the field. It's gone from a battle for the lead to a battle for P2. It's still between 4 cars, though, now that we've got Oye at the back of the group. Meanwhile, Akuliski is going to go almost right across the bow of Marco Salgado. Thankfully, they don't actually come together. No, excuse me, that was Rodriguez across the bow of Liski.
Yeah, I think Salgado was the one giving chase here. So Liski is in that gray car with the bright green helmet exiting turn number 1 here. Everybody all kind of equal distant. This is all for what is 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th on the racetrack here. It's all kind of led by Jason Clapper, that black car way up there. He is our biggest mover, plus 12 on the day so far.
Yeah, an impressive run from him. Both Liski and Rodriguez up 3 as well. They've looked by Liski in the blue and whites, and it looks like he is going to rethink it coming down to the braking. Big bobble, though, from Rodriguez. He holds onto it, but we have to remember that is a steep downhill plunge into that turn.
It is steep, and these cars are carrying tremendous amounts of speed going down in there. It always seems, no matter which car, if you're in a GT3 car, if you're in one of these 49s, gravity, it just kind of tends to be stronger down there at turn number 4. Kind of continues to pull the car into the gravel.
I always have to remind people, because they think of the Lotus 49 as slow because it doesn't have the cornering speed of a lot of modern cars, but this thing really cooks off the line. It's very light.
Fast.
It has a lot of power. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 180 at the end of some of these straightaways.
Well, you know what? Let me pull up the data on my side of things on the leaders over here, because they just exited turn number 3, which is one of the faster areas, and I'm already seeing over 160. There's 165 miles an hour before they jumped on the brakes there to turn number 4. So maybe even up here to turn number 3 where these drivers are at, approaching 170 before they have to jump on the brakes right there.
Yeah, you can see on the screen they get a lot of speed. Remember, this is 60s technology. Think about how fast modern cars get heading up there. So yeah, this is very, very fast in these machines. And the reason we're back here is because, well, things have kind of spread apart up at the front. So finally we get a chance to show some of the action that's been happening a little bit farther down the order as we check in with Gary Ho. A bit of a disappointing day for him, that is for sure. He's got Robert Plumley just behind him. Plumley up 1 while Gary Ho is down 4.
Well, Plumley's got a little bit of a lightened car back there, so he's got the BOP to his side. His advantage is Gary Ho in this awesome motion rig. I love seeing the interior shots of this. Now, I've never driven a true motion rig. I've driven in virtual reality a ton. That used to be what I use over here in my sim, but that's got to take that immersion level up another notch.
Absolutely, being able to really feel what's happening. He's tried it before, he's tried it again, and again it did not work. Nieva can't seem to get that inside line to stick. He's going to try and pull some slipstream off of Mick. Maybe he'll move to the inside, down into Schloss Gold. No, defense from Claridge will deny him that time. Look at how quickly, though, Verbruggen gathers them up in the brake zone, but isn't able to capitalize either. Things still tight up here. And we're starting to see some fighting once again as Nieva desperately wants back into that P2.
I think I saw a problem with the number 23 car of Juan Rodriguez. Remember, we were watching him battle it out with Liskey, but oh my goodness. Nieva had to lift off of the gas right there not to run over the back of Mick Claridge. I think that he's really struggling with turn number 8, and now around the outside is where you don't want to be right here, but Nieva's forced to be there side by side through turn number 10. Nieva's actually going to get the pass done.
Wow. I can't stress enough how rare it is to see passes at those corners, let alone round the outside, but he's going to have to carry it on into turn 1. Claridge will force the issue up through the inside, and now it's a drag race. But critically, Nieva's on the outside of the corner coming in. Can he utilize that to good effect? They're going to be 2 by 2, Noah's Ark. No, Zamaloa will back out of it. What's it going to look like, Joey, coming off the turn?
Let's see if Claridge chops across the nose, finally leaves just a little bit of space, but Nieva, the same Achilles heel that we've seen all race, just can't get the car going forward coming out of turn number 3. If anything, Verbruggen is the one taking a look down the inside. Guys, Andreas has escaped.
I thought for sure that was going to be Jorge's chance, and yeah, 2.5 seconds up the road. There you can see the distance between them. He is gone. Unless he makes a mistake, and that's going to be a rare occasion that happens. I think this is his race to lose. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what happened to Rodriguez. I think he may have outbraked himself up into Remus, or was there contact? Oh, ghost contact between them. A real shame that Juan had that happen, and it looks like that may have damaged the right rear.
Yeah, and if it didn't damage the right rear, the other contacts with the wall definitely put some damage on the car. So coming up to 3 laps to go. I'm sorry, yeah, 3 laps to go this time by right here. Valenteus has escaped already down that next straightaway. The battle is on between Claridge, Nieva, Verbruggen, and Zamayoa.
Nearly contact coming through the first corner. Nieva was very tight to the back of Claridge, but didn't make contact. Meanwhile, Verbruggen, he knows this is where it's a struggle and they're going to bang wheels. That's going to not lose 1, but 2 positions for Jorge Nieva. Zamaloa sneaks by.
I think that was a great move from Kevin Verbruggen right there. Just was able to put the car firmly up the inside, and Nieva, if anything, it was a little bit surprising for that number 3 car, as we are 3 wide almost going down here into turn number 4. That's Trenggrade, Cocky, and Kundelis. Looks like Cocky's going around the outside. Can he secure that position? Though usually the shortest distance is a little bit of an advantage, and now Trenggrade throws the car in, but Cocky's still there.
And Arturus says, thank you very much. That's my chance to put my foot in the door. Another left-hander, and he is completely over the threshold. Move Arturus up to 9th. Cocky tries to run away as we watch from on board looking over the engine.
Up and over this little crest of a hill here before throwing the car into turn number 9. And then it's all about hitting this compression right there. You see the cars really bottom out. It gives the car a little bit of extra grip, and you got to be on the gas with the car pointed the right way.
Gotta say, ahead of this group, we see flashes of him in the camera. Seb Tixier managed to get up to 7, so he's finally made up the ground that he probably wanted. But the gap has grown so much that he hasn't really been able to keep up with the lead. He's got Leo Sequeiro within about a second, but from there it's 4 seconds up to the lead group.
You know that he's going to want to try this pass here on the last lap. He's been hunting down Leo for a number of laps, and it's not like Leo is slow at all. I'm actually surprised that Sequeiro is not part of this lead group. He's been showing a ton of speed all week long.
Sequeiro just went wide, too. Yeah, you could see how much dirt was kicked up. He is now suddenly much closer. You're right, Seb is going to be on the ball here. He is going to be on the charge, trying to see if he can overtake at least for 6th position and make up a good result for one of the rounds this season.
It's another situation kind of like the front, too, that if Tixier doesn't make the pass immediately or even battles for a turn or 2, he's going to have 3 more drivers immediately appear in his mirror, and they're 3 very capable drivers.
That's true, but white flag is now out for our lead group. Valenteus may have run away, but Claridge still has Verbruggen. Zamaloa, Nieva right behind him. Look at this train of cars just all lying astern coming out of the first corner. Nieva gets a good run. What can he do with it?
I think you have to let everything unfold. It's all going to happen in front of him. Nieva makes a move to the inside of Oye. Now we're almost 3 wide. Nieva almost got into the back of Verbruggen, but now positions don't change on the exit.
He could have carried that speed, but with Kevin there, it just unfortunately balked him. And they all stay as they were down into the braking. A look from Zamaloa, but unfortunately can't get underneath Kevin Verbruggen. From here to the end, it's going to be hard to pass. Let's check back in with Cocky, who is now on the outside. When did Kundelis get by him? And also Trenggrade is going to sneak through.
Oh my goodness, and I can't report. Nieva just got into the back of Zamayoa. Remember, Mick Claridge has been so loose through turn number 8. Our leader makes it through that corner just fine.
Adrius Valenteus, he took the lead early on this one, led the way for most of it, fended off a hard-charging Nieva, and now he is going to come away with his 2nd win of the season here in Austria.
Mick Claridge will stand 2nd today, with Verbruggen rounding out that podium. That was one of the best races inside the top 5 we have seen in quite some time here in the 49s. Then comes this next group of Trenggrade, Cocky, and Sanchez. And Arturus. Can't forget about Kundelis in that lime green car all day.
He's been battling all day, and Liskey isn't out of the woods. He's got Salgado. In fact, Salgado is slow. Maudsley going to look up the inside, not going to be able to take it. Could we get an over-under from Salgado? It's a race to the line. Who's going to come out ahead of the 2 of them? It's going to be Liskey, and boy, was that close. They had 0.08 of a second between them at the line. Tell you what, Seb Tixier, he got close to Sequeiro. It was 0.1 of a second between those 2 when they crossed.
My goodness, as we get the rest of the cars coming across the start-finish line. Cam Porter back here going to finish in 22nd place after gaining a few throughout the day, and I think that's pretty much going to be it. Man, what a race here for Red Bull Ring. Mick Claridge said it was going to be a good one, and it certainly was.
It was a fantastic race, and Interesting notes. I can't say it verbatim, but a note from Seb Tixier says, I can't wait to not screw up qualifying. So
he's got to talk to Barney. Apparently him and
Yeah.
Barney have not been getting along.
No, it does not seem to be going his way in the Q sessions. So up at the top, it went well for Valenteus. He may have started on the front row, but he finishes on the front spot with a win as Mick Claridge climbs his way up into second. Remember, he started from 6th. What a run. Kevin Verbruggen with third as Zamaloa was fourth, and Nieva going from pole to 5th today. Leo Sequeiro, 6th. Tixier does salvage a good result in spite of his qualifying, 7th for him. Kundalis 8th, and Trangrade in a P9. Kaki winding up 10th.
Across the page in 11th is Xavier Sanchez. Great to see him back in the series here, up 4 positions to finish in 11th. John Olsen in 12th. Bill Tyler back here finishing in 13th spot. Togo Hisada, not the day that he wanted, slips back 9 positions to finish in 14th. As is expected, Jason Clapper, our biggest mover of the day, plus 12 to finish in 15th. Aku Liski back here in 16th with Marco Salgado in 17th. Matthew Maudsley, 18th spot. Nice job for him, up a handful as well. Gary Ho, 19th, and Mikko Michele in 20th.
21st will go to Robert Plumley with a bit of damage on that car as Cam Porter was 22nd. Santiago Frega was 23rd. Kurt Clapper only able to get up to 24th. Klatska to 25th, and then Steve Morris 26th. Torres had a black flag. He winds up a lap down in 27th. Rodriguez and Rossi DNFs today, unfortunately unable to make it to the finish. Very few of them, definitely representative of the skill that we saw out there. Not that many incidents that we had to go back and show replays for. So glad to see it was good, hard racing and not too many accidents on the track itself. As we wait to see if we get to chat with some of our leaders, because gosh, I have to imagine we got some stories to hear. In fact, it looks like we got third place. Kevin Verbruggen ready to chat with us. So let's pull him in and see what it was like in the thick of all that action. Kevin, my goodness, I don't think you got a chance to rest that entire race.
No, it is. That's one of the things that you notice when I have a race in the front for once, is the guys in the front, they are just relentless. Like the tiniest mistake, like I went wide in turn 3 just a little bit, and Mick, yeah, he won't say no to that. He just bounces immediately.
Yeah, that is for sure. He likes to be aggressive out there. But talk to us a little bit about what has brought you up into this sharp end of the field. We've been kind of noting, we felt like you've made advancements in speeds, and now you're really fighting with the big boys. What do you think really kind of made the difference for you?
I'm honestly not 100% sure. I do practice a whole lot. But yeah, I check the telemetry of the other guys and such. But yeah, what I think does help is that across the week I just keep improving and improving, and this is a shorter track. So maybe that helps. That, yeah, relatively speaking, it's like more laps for me, more time to get up to speed. But yeah, I'll have to see.
Well, we'll keep an eye on you. I mean, you're close to fighting for the win. What do you think is going to put you over the edge to finally stand on the top step?
Yeah, that is one of the things that you really do want to get. Yeah, I don't know. I need to keep doing what I'm doing, I guess, because I'm getting really close now. Maybe look a bit more like talk to Seb, maybe what he does because he can do some amazingly fast laps sometimes. Just pull them out from somewhere, I don't know. But yeah, that is my goal for this year. So I really hope to be on the top step one of these days. Yeah.
Well, we'll be wishing you the best of luck. Anybody you want to thank before you head out?
I want to thank Mick and Seb this week, because we've been trading setups and lap records all week, and it was a whole lot of fun. And Odious and Jorge, because we have, and Leo Sequeiro, because we had some amazing races earlier in the week, and it was a lot of fun.
Certainly fun to watch, and that was our third place finisher, Kevin Verbruggen, here today, beat by Mick Claridge, who comes home in P2. Joey is talking to the barbecue man himself.
Yeah, Mick Claridge, good to have you in the booth, and congrats on that second place.
Oh, can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear.
Yeah, I didn't know what you said. I had my headphones off. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, second place. Is that what you just asked me? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was asking, did you get the grill cleaned off? Is that where the speed came from?
I haven't used the grill for ages. It was just a temporary thing, you know. It was just to try and see, you know, see if I could still do it.
I don't know if I believe you.
If I did reach over there, I could probably swing it around and make some noise like I used to before. But no, I'm not using it. No, I've got a cheapy old riggy, but you know, but it's all right. It does the job. Everything stays the same in the same place, you know.
I got to ask you the tough questions because that's what we get paid to do.
Oh, yeah. Go.
So, what was up with the racing with Nieva and just letting Valenteus escape?
Oh, do you know what? Someone just asked me that, and yeah, I was just saying the same thing. The races ain't long enough to you know, work together and do that. I mean, although it doesn't seem like it, but it's a proper draft track. You know, I mean, we was catching him for a while there. I mean, if we'd have carried on going as we were and I never made a big mistake, we probably would have got up to him in the end. And again, I think it's the same as Suzuka. We would have been able to stay with him, but I don't know if I'd have got round him, you know. The guy just doesn't mess up, ever.
He is pretty fast out front, and when he's got a clean racetrack, it is certainly tough to beat him. Looking at next week, Catalunia's on the schedule. What do you think it's going to race like in comparison?
It'll race good. I won't be able to race good there. I'm terrible at the place. I'll be lucky to get a podium there. It's one of them. I don't know what it is, but I just really struggle at really smooth tracks. I like places like Summit and Lime Rock and all the rest of those sort of tracks. Take us to Barcelona, and I really struggle just to feel the car, you know. So yeah, I'll try and do as good as I can. Try and get some wheel-to-wheel action down into turn 1 and see how it goes, you know.
Well, good luck next week. Always a blast watching you out there. Thank you so much for coming in, competing when you can, Mick.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Can I just say one
of course.
Mention? Gary Ho, I don't know if you guys remember, but Seb sent me a load of hardware to start racing. Gary Ho done the same thing and sent me a really good shifter, what I'm going to use in my replica Lotus 49 rig when I ever build it, which is on the cards. But yeah, thank you so much, Gary. Yeah, I can't thank you enough, mate. And all the guys that are watching, hello to you lot, wherever you lot are. So, yeah. And you guys as well. Joe and Joey, Joe the Show, Peak, and Joey Atterbury. You the man.
Thank you, Mick. And it's just such a cool group here. You see the community really pitching in, and Mick is always one of the most upfront, one of the most winning drivers. I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's one of the most popular drivers too, Joe.
I think that's a reason he's not as popular. Everybody else wants to take some of those wins back from him. I do think we have one more driver to talk to. Cam Porter, a regular hopping into the booth to chat with us. But Cam, when you saw the strength of field and we saw the number 24 on your car, did your eyes pop a little bit on this one?
Of course. Well, number one, I was really surprised that it split. That's great to see the increase in participation. Unfortunately, that kind of puts me in the difficult position of being one of the lower rated cars in the top split. 4,000 strength of field today. Really tough crowd. Couldn't do much, really. Especially, you know, I got a new shifter, and it's not intuitive yet for me to use. So I missed several shifts early on because I had to, you know, I'm actually having to think about, you know, getting that gear in, you know, that thing in gear. So, yeah, that put me off a little bit early on. I started to get used to it near the end, and I was putting in more consistent laps. But kind of a quiet race, really. I had some racing with some fellows early on, but like I said, I had a couple of misshifts that sort of dropped me out of that battle. I was really surprised Robert Plumley was so much faster than me with no nose cone. Good on you, Robert.
Yeah, that is kind of impressive. And, you know, it's the lonely race is a bit surprising because, I mean, 29 cars with a split. With all this attendance, what's the community been feeling like lately? It seems like we've seen incredible growth here in the 49s.
Yeah, I think there's probably, you know, a lot of people that may have gotten subscriptions for Christmas or something like that. You know, the sale has been going on for a little while. So I think there's probably a lot of new drivers coming in, and everybody wants to try something different. Like, Often people just want to have a new car. They want just to try something new, which is great. So a lot of new names coming out this week, especially this week. It could be just because it's a popular track, but a couple of the fellows in the Discord server were mentioning a lot of increased participation, like early on in the week in the normal races, official races. So good to see the participation go up, and looking forward to more exciting racing.
Me too. As a longtime supporter of this car, it makes me so happy to see the state that it's in, and can't thank you enough for coming and chatting with us as always, and I guess best of luck at Barcelona.
Thanks, Joe. We'll see you then.
That was Cam Porter, comes home in 22nd today. Well, we're going to close that one out then with a big thank you to the community in general for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as a big thanks to the team today, Joey, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, we're going to Barcelona next, the Saturday, January 11th. But up next, we have the IMSA Vintage Series at Navarra, I believe for the first time. That'll be at noon Eastern. However, be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.